Why did you decide to be a baker?
Well, because I'm dying in that canning factory. Everyone there's dying. It just crushes the life out of you. You like canned food?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Hi, Truica. I hope I said your name right. My name is Dana Masson, and I'm going to be doing your eCritique today. Congratulations on winning the 11 Second Club this month. That's so awesome. Just to give you a little bit of background about who I am, I've been an animator for 17 years and a mentor for animation mentor for 10 years. I'm all freelance now. I actually have been for quite a long time, since about 2007. Yeah, so 10 years. I started off working on television series when I first graduated from school. I'm from Canada. I graduated from Sheridan College up in Oakville, Ontario. I worked in games and television, and then I got into my first couple of feature films, and then I moved to New York, and I started freelancing there, and I was working on some really cool high-end commercial stuff. And then I went to India, and I was an anim soup there for about half a year on a movie, and then when I got back from there, I've just been remote freelancing ever since then. So I work from home, and I've been teaching for AM, and I also teach character animation at Northeastern University in Boston as a part-time lecturer. So that's pretty much it for me. You can always look up my background on AM if you want more info, and look at my demo reel and stuff if you like. I just finished a big project with character animation for a fine artist by the name of Jordan Wolfson, and that's going to be really interesting to see what his final installation is going to look like. I honestly have no idea what it's all about, even though I did the character animation, so we'll see. So having a look at your stuff, I just want to say first, right off the bat, I love how you combined 3 elements in this, and it all works together really well. You've got CG animation with the guy, you've got 2D animated fish, and you've got photographic backgrounds. And you did a really nice job fitting the whole thing together. You have really nice fluid animation going on, nice organic feel to everything, and really impressed with all the turnarounds that you did with the fish character. That's very tricky to do, to be able to maintain your character's feel of size and weight, and being on model in 2D when they're turning all the way around. And you did a really nice job. Really nice job. I also like the character design of this guy. He kind of feels Woody Allen-ish. I think it's partly because he seems so insecure, but I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to think of what else. Almost like a cross between Martin Scorsese and Woody Allen to me. But he's a cool guy. I like him. Okay, so let's see. I've got a lot of notes here. The first thing that kind of jumped out at me at the very beginning when I first started watching was that the cut is happening right after the guy finishes his line of dialogue. So it's right on the pause in between. So it's really kind of chopping your scene in half rather than giving it a feeling of smooth continuity. So something that you could do that would smooth it out a little bit more would be to just have your cut wait until a little bit later when the fish's dialogue starts, so that you have a little bit of overlap where the guy is waiting to hear the fish's reaction, and during that time the fish starts to talk, and after the first few words or so, then cut back to the fish. And then that way it's going to create a little overlap between the camera and the action. So it'll feel more natural because the camera will feel like it's reacting to the action. So it's almost like the camera's a character, and the camera hears the other character start talking, so it looks over there. You know what I mean? It makes it feel more natural for the viewer, because that's kind of how they would perceive the situation if they were watching it from a fresh perspective and hadn't seen it before, you know? So when the camera cuts in between lines of dialogue like that, between characters, it really anticipates what's going to happen next, and it kind of, it takes away from some of that feel of it being a natural reaction to what's happening in the scene, that the camera follows what's happening in the scene. So unless you have a really specific reason for a camera to anticipate an action, it makes more sense normally and feels more natural normally for the camera to follow what's happening. Another thing, let me just play it through one time and then I will talk about my next point.
Why did you decide to be a baker?
Well, because I'm dying in that canning factory. Everyone there's dying. It just crushes the life out of you. You like canned food?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Why did you decide to be a baker?
Well, because I'm dying in that canning factory. Everyone there's dying. It just crushes the life out of you. You like canned food?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Why did you decide?
Okay. So the other thing that about that cut that's interesting to me is these two characters. Right now, it's kind of just a normal conversation, and you kind of get, you know, we're not really sure sort of what the context of it is. Is the guy, is the human interviewing him for some reason? You know, is he hiring him to be a baker at his bakery or his restaurant or something like that? Like, you know what I mean? I know he's wearing a white top, but does that mean that he's a chef, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to tell what's going on. And by the background, by the photographic background, it just looks like it's probably your desk at home. But it doesn't really give any kind of context of what the bigger picture is of this. So what is the relationship between these two characters? Why is he asking him this question? If you can come up with kind of a detailed history about the relationship between these two, it'll give you some extra bits of information that you can give, by maybe some things in the background, or B, another thing that might be a way that you could show the relationship between these two is during that time when, if you delay this cut and allow us to view the character kind of waiting for the response from the fish, then you can throw in some emotional information there on the part of that character that will also help give us some info about what their relationship is. You could, there's so many different scenarios that you could come up with for this. So the guy's talking to a fish. Is the guy nuts? And he thinks the fish is talking to him, but it really isn't. This is all just in his head. Or is he talking to this fish for the first time and not quite sure if he's nuts? Kind of like when Linguini first talked to Remy the rat in Ratatouille. Has this fish been his buddy for a long time? So it's totally normal. But they're having a deep talk because the guy is reviewing his own life and he's not sure about a big decision that he has to make. What's the backstory between these two characters? I would love to be able to get a sense of what it is just by some of these things. And it's stuff that's going to just be a moment in time, but it will give the scene a whole lot more subtext, which I think would be awesome. So there's a lot of opportunity there for that. My next note is the wavy action in the fish tank. I like it. It helps to sell that, you know, the fish is there in the water. But I do think that you should calm it down a little bit, because these reflections that are on the side, these highlights, are really catching my eye a lot because the movement is kind of so big. So I find myself drawn away from the fish and watching this stuff, which probably isn't what you're intending to do. So maybe just kind of lower the amplitude a little bit on that effect so that it sits a little bit more in the background. You could give it a little bit of a boost every time he does a big swish. like right there. You could swish it a little bit more. There, when he does this big turnaround, you could definitely give it a little bit, like as his fin comes around in the arc, then, you know, do that over there. Right? So there's and this one at the beginning too. I missed that one before. So this one, he's got a good swish with his tail, and then pick it up a little bit, and then when he slows down, then just let it fade down again a little bit. Like that kind of thing could work really well with connecting the fish to the environment also. So you've got the wavy action happening, but keep it really, really small unless he does a big fin swish. I feel like I'm reading from One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, with the dancing fish on the dish, saying all the fish words. Swish my dish for the fish swish dish, or something like that. So you could connect him to his environment by doing that. And I love the bubbles too. That's really cool. Nice addition to the animation. So this guy, very nice organic feel to his performance. I like his expressions. His expressions have appeal. He looks like he's feeling kind of sheepish or unsure about something, and he looks like he's sort of like almost worried about the conversation, like he's sheepish about something in the conversation, and he has his hands clasped together. So, you know, again, I'd love to kind of figure out what that whole connection is with his expression and why is he behaving that way when he's talking to the fish. So if we can create that connection with the backstory somehow, then that would help a lot. But the main point about his animation is his hands. They are so predominant with their position on the screen. They're like right front and center, and they look so big. They're coming towards the camera. They look so big, which isn't necessarily too much of a problem. You may consider switching to a longer lens. That might flatten out the perspective a little bit and bring down the size of the hand a little bit. I imagine that, I'm guessing this is probably like a 35 millimeter lens that you're using for this shot. And with the hands coming forward towards the camera, the shorter the lens you're using, the more the perspective is going to be exaggerated. So if you use if the shorter the lens, the more the perspective is exaggerated. So if it's a 35 millimeter lens, perspective is going to be exaggerated more. If you use a longer lens, like a 50 millimeter lens, then you're going to have tighter perspective and things won't, be exaggerated so much. It'll kind of flatten things out a little bit. So it depends on kind of what sort of effect you want. And often in shots that are medium close-ups to close-ups, you're going to be using longer lenses so that you don't have funny distortions in faces and stuff like that. So that's one thing with the hands. And as far as the animation of them goes, you've got this one move here with some overlap in it, which is nice, and I like the little details of fingers there moving. Something that would probably help through the shot would be to also tighten the grip right before this action happens. So the grip, the fingers kind of tighten and then open up and then close back in again, and kind of get a little bit more movement on the other fingers as well. So you have a little tighten, open up, and you can still mainly just move these two fingers, but you've got to get a little bit of movement there with the other fingers. They feel so locked in place right now. And it's feeling like a kind of a big solid mass of a shape. So in order to kind of get the sense that these two hands are linked together like that, you have to get a little, and it's getting tricky when you've got all that geometry It's definitely a very tricky thing to make it feel like it's not all intersecting when you're doing stuff like that. And sometimes it can be a lot of detail work, but it would really lend a lot to what's happening there because the hands are so predominant in the shot. Really stands out. So, the fish. The one thing about the fish's performance that I didn't like as much was when he says crushes the life out of you. Because he's really, with his gestures, he's really kind of illustrating the words. Crushes the life out of you, right? So you've got crushing gesture, crush, and then you with a pointing finger. He's not pointing at him, he's pointing down, but you still get that, like, cut it out, you know what I mean? So he's crushing the life out of you. So I would say gestures like that always tend to feel less natural. You could do something like, just to show the emotion of it, like you can think of crushing the life out of me, and just use like tightening fists, like, so he can, crushing the life out of me, crushing the life out of you, something like that just kind of shows the feeling of that tension of the statement. Like, what's the emotion behind the statement? It's crushing, there's tension there. It was killing me. And, something like that just shows the tension of that statement instead of being so literal with the illustrative gestures. He's wearing a tie, which I wasn't quite sure how to take that at first. I love that it's there. It's really, adds to this character, the animation. It adds a really nice element to the animation to have it there. So again, I'm brought back to the question of what's the background between these two characters, like what's going on. Is this a job interview? I'm not really sure, Like when I first watched it, I felt like he should be wearing something that showed he was a baker. Like, why would he be wearing a tie? So it all comes back to just kind of not being able to tell what the backstory is. But I like the animation of the tie. It's really great. I love it. Let's see what else is in my notes here. The lip sync of the fish. The lip sync. The lip sync is looking really good. I like it. The sounds are all reading really well. It does read even without having a tongue. It does. But I think I would love to see some movement in there with a tongue. There's some stuff that feels like it's just missing to me. And it's not like you need to, make it really stand out and give it a black outline and the whole thing. You could do a color that is like just one shade lighter than the mouth, and create a shape and do some movement with it in there to suggest those shapes and sounds. I think it would really just add another level of rhythm to the animation, as well as just helping to articulate those sounds even further. I mean, you've done a really nice job with what's happening with the mouth movement in general, so it still sells it. But I would say that some tongue action in there would really just plus it. And like I said, just add another layer of rhythm on top, just like that tight, quick rhythm. This guy's got a lot of little fidgety things that he does that show his frustration, and I think that would really just help with that whole atmosphere, to have another object that had that, quick kind of movement going on. I like these fin hands. The idea that they change from being fins to being hands that he gestures with is terrific. So he's like got the ringing hands, and then when he swims, he uses them to actually pull like arms, which is cool. I think that's really interesting. So they're still behaving like arms for him when he starts to swim. But then as he goes through the motion, they drag behind more like fins. And then they kind of fall down to the bottom again, and he's looking sort of sad, and so that really adds to the emotion of it. And then he brings them back up into hands again and does gestures, and then another swim around, and they drag behind. Like, it's really, really nice the way you use them. It works so well. The arcs of the characters swimming look great too. I'm totally buying that this character is swimming in the water, that there's water surrounding him. It can be very easy to animate a fish swimming in water and have it end up feeling like there's no resistance from that water. But the way that you created the arcs of motion for the character, the way he's swimming, you can feel, that, and his head is kind of leading into those actions, and there's nice arcs. Gives a really good sense of the water resistance. The eyebrows are nice on this character too. Just kind of floating eyebrows up above the eyes. They help a lot with the expression. Terrific stuff. This is a really entertaining shot to watch. And like I said before, I love that you did some of the scene with the CG character and some of the scene with the 2D character with a really great mix. It kind of reminds you of movies like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, except you're using CG characters instead of real humans, which is an interesting idea. Because that was a really breakthrough thing when they did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I remember it was a big deal. But it's a neat idea to do this mix. Very nice. I love it. It's entertaining. It's fun. The characters are good. The movement flows very well. The performances are lovely. You just did an all-around great job. So congratulations again. And good luck with everything that you do, and hope to see more animation from you in the future. Take care. Have a great rest of your month. Bye for now.